Evolution of Godzilla. In the 1954 first Japanese epic movie in the Godzilla franchise, Godzilla is a 164-foot giant prehistoric creature whose underwater habitat was completely destroyed by a hydrogen bomb test, which burned and scarred him as well as killed his family. Enraged, Godzilla decides to take out his rage upon humanity, destroying any boats that he encounters, including the city of Tokyo. Haruo Nakajima has mainly portrayed Godzilla since 1954 until his retirement in 1972. In this movie, Godzilla symbolizes the nuclear holocaust from Japan's perspective and has since been culturally identified as a strong metaphor for nuclear weapons. The Godzilla suit Shotegoji design was a cumbersome and heavy piece of equipment that weighed around 220 pounds. In the 1955 Japanese movie Godzilla Raids Again, the last movie to be filmed in black and white, Godzilla fights his first enemy, a giant ankylosaur named Anguirus, destroying Yamaji's cannery and killing the convicts in the process, causing Japan to relive the horror once again. In this movie, the Japan Self-Defense Forces use the tactic of enforcing a blackout in Osaka to protect it from Godzilla. This is the same tactic used by Japan during World War II to protect cities from Allied bombing raids. The Godzilla suit used for this movie was slimmer and lighter than the previous suit used in 1954, putting less pressure on the actor and making every fight scene with Anguirus easier. Also, this is the only Godzilla movie where Godzilla's scutes do not glow prior to him releasing his atomic breath. In the 1962 third Japanese movie King Kong vs. Godzilla, Godzilla is reawakened by an American submarine, and a pharmaceutical company captures King Kong for promotional purposes, which culminates in a battle with Godzilla on Mount Fuji. Starting in this movie, Godzilla's breath attack became better known as his atomic breath or radioactive flame. Also, despite Godzilla's incredible power, he is first shown to be vulnerable to strong voltages of electricity. In the 1964 Japanese movie Mothra vs. Godzilla, the plot revolves around a giant divine Mothra's egg washing ashore and Godzilla's arrival, who suddenly pops out of a Kurata beach and wreaks havoc on Yokkaichi and Nagoya shortly after, as the latter combats both Mothra and the military. This movie was the last to depict Godzilla as the antagonist. In the 1964 Japanese movie Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, despite the differences, Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan team up to save the planet from the alien Dragon King Ghidorah. This movie was the turning point in Godzilla's transformation from villain to hero, making him friendlier. Also in the conversation with Mothra, he states that he only hates humans because humans attack him with their weapons and military, suggesting that he was not really a villain in the first place. In the 1965 Japanese movie Invasion of Astro-Monster, Godzilla, along with Rodan, were found by the alien race called Zillions and brought to their planet X to save it from Monster Zero, who is the same monster as King Ghidorah, thus fighting him a second time. In the 1966 Japanese movie Ebirah, Horror of the Deep, in which an uncharted island is the primary setting rather than a location inside Japan, Godzilla, sleeping in a cave on the side of a cliff, was awakened by a makeshift lightning rod by the young Ryota Kane and his friends, as well as the local girl Dio, to free the natives from the terrorist organization Red Bamboo, who were using them to create a yellow liquid that controlled Ebirah, a giant lobster-like creature. Originally, this movie was intended to feature King Kong instead of Godzilla. This is why Godzilla draws strength from electricity and exhibits a sort of attraction to the female protagonist, Dio, traits previously associated with King Kong. It also explains why Godzilla attacked Mothra despite having been allies with her previously, as Kong had never met Mothra. In the 1967 Japanese movie Son of Godzilla, Godzilla adopts a baby monster named Manila and teaches him important monster skills, roaring and using his radioactive breath. Although he has difficulty producing more than smoke rings, Godzilla discovers that stressful conditions, such as stomping on a child's tail, cause an actual radioactive explosion. But the training was not in vain, as Godzilla and him fight Kumanga, and he finally learns to control his radioactive explosion. The 1968 Japanese epic movie Destroy All Monsters features 11 monster characters, including Godzilla, who have been safely rounded up and sent to Monsterland for scientific study. However, a race of Shialians known as the Kilex unleashes all the monsters and mind controls them to attack Major City. Godzilla attacks New York City. When the monsters are freed from the Kilex influence, the aliens send King Ghidorah to challenge the other monsters, thereby making Godzilla fight him for the third time. Shortly after King Ghidorah's defeat, they must battle a burning monster called the Fire Dragon, which begins setting cities on fire and destroying the control center on Ogasawara. In the 1969 Japanese movie All Monsters Attack, which was comprised primarily of stock footage from previous movies, Godzilla, along with other monsters, appears in the dreams of a lonely boy, Ikuro Mikey, who dreams of visiting Monster Island, where he will befriend Godzilla's son. The dreams show Godzilla fighting 3 Kamakuras, Ebirah, Kumanga, and several invading planes. Godzilla is also seen returning to teach Manila how to fight and use his own atomic breath. In the 1971 Japanese movie Godzilla vs. Hedorah, Godzilla comes to humanity's aid against Hedorah, who feeds on the Earth's pollution and transforms into a poisonous, acid-spewing sea monster. Almost defeated, he is aided by the JFD, who quickly build 2 giant electrodes, and Godzilla thereby reactivates and charges the electrodes with his atomic heat ray, dehydrating Hedorah's outer body. This movie includes a scene that is the first and only time Godzilla demonstrated the ability of flight, using his atomic breath as jet propulsion. Also, during the fight against Hedorah in the countryside, Godzilla tries to fend off one of Hedorah's I-beams by performing the famous plus position with his arms, as a reference to the Ultraman series. In the 1972 Japanese movie Godzilla vs. Gigan, Godzilla, along with his ally Anxieties, are trying to save the Earth from the cybernetic alien creature Gigan and King Ghidorah, who were under the command of the Space Hunter Nebula aliens. It is the last movie in which Godzilla was portrayed by Nakajima after playing the character since the original 1954 movie. In the 1973 Japanese movie Godzilla vs. Megalon, Godzilla teams up with a humanoid robot named Jet Jaguar, who has been captured by the underwater nation of Seatopia to battle Megalon and Gigan. As shown, Godzilla is able to channel his energy into his claws to parry Megalon's attacks, as well as use energy projection from his dorsal plates to help propel him through the air for a flying kick. After the battle, Godzilla and Jet Jaguar are seen shaking hands as a sign of a job well done. The movie stars Shinji Takagi as Godzilla. In the science fiction superhero TV show Zone Fighter, Godzilla is Zone Fighter's occasional ally in fighting the Gorogan Taro beasts, called forth by the Zone family to assist Zone Fighter when the latter is outmatched or injured, earning a reputation as the monster of justice. As the series progresses, Godzilla becomes a friend to Zone Fighter and resides in a Godzilla cave made by the family, as shown in episode 21. Godzilla was played by Toru Kawai and Isao Zushi. In the 1974 Japanese action-adventure movie Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, Isao Zushi plays Godzilla. He teams up with King Caesar to battle Godzilla's robotic counterpart, Mechagodzilla, who was controlled by the aliens from Black Hole Planet 3 and used as part of their attempt to conquer Earth. As the robot tries to escape, Godzilla uses his stored electricity, after being struck repeatedly by lightning, to create an electromagnetic field, which proved crucial in defeating his metallic foe, as Godzilla's magnetism was strong enough to repel and eject several of Mechagodzilla's finger missiles embedded in his skin, rip electrical pylons out of the ground and onto his body, and counteract Mechagodzilla's attempt at flying away. In the 1975 Japanese movie Terror of Mechagodzilla, Toru Kawai plays Godzilla. Godzilla once again battles Mechagodzilla, who was rebuilt by its alien masters and has teamed up with a giant aquatic dinosaur called Titanosaurus to destroy large parts of the city, including the city of Tokyo. In the American animated monster TV show Godzilla, Green Godzilla appears with vocal effects by Ted Cassidy. The series follows the adventures of a team of scientists on the Calico, a hydrofoil research vessel headed by Captain Carl Majors. The group often calls upon Godzilla by using a special signaler when in danger, such as attacks by other giant monsters. Also, Godzuki, the cowardly nephew of Godzilla, can roar to summon him. Godzilla's size in the animated series shifts radically, sometimes within a single episode or even a single scene. For example, Godzilla's claws can wrap around a large ship, and only minutes later the team of scientists fit rather neatly on Godzilla's palm. In addition, Godzilla's trademark blue atomic breath is altered, so he breathes simple, orange-hued fire. He can also shoot laser beams from his eyes, much like Superman's heat vision. In the 1984 Japanese movie The Return of Godzilla, Kenpachiro Satsuma plays Godzilla. The movie serves as both a sequel to the original 1954 movie and a reboot of the franchise, placing itself in line with the darker tone and themes of the original movie and returning Godzilla to his destructive, antagonistic roots. Godzilla is shown to have a critical weakness for cadmium, an element commonly used to slow nuclear reactions. The Super X fired its full payload of cadmium missiles into Godzilla's mouth, and this had the effect of temporarily stopping his heart and knocking him unconscious. In the 1989 Japanese movie Godzilla vs. Biollante, scientists are using samples of Godzilla's cells to create anti-nuclear energy bacteria, a biological weapon designed to consume the nuclear energy that sustained Godzilla's metabolism and kill him. In this movie, Godzilla encounters and battles a new creature named Biollante, unintentionally created from a combination of Godzilla cells, Rose cells, and the cells of the deceased daughter of scientist Genshiro Shiragami, Erika. In the 1991 Japanese movie Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, the first concrete on-screen origin story for Godzilla is introduced, where Godzilla is shown as a Tyrannosaurus called a Godzillasaurus that was mutated by nuclear radiation into Godzilla. The plot revolves around time travelers from the future who convince Japan to travel back in time to prevent Godzilla's mutation, only to reveal their true motives by unleashing King Ghidorah onto the nation, with whom Godzilla will have to fight again, but this time it's one-on-one, with no allies. In the 1992 Japanese movie Godzilla vs. Mothra, which is the most commercially successful Toho-produced Godzilla movie of all time, the plot follows Batra, a male divine moth similar to Mothra but much more fearsome in appearance, and returning fans' favorite, Mothra, which attempts to stop Godzilla from attacking Yokohama. In this movie, Godzilla has demonstrated the ability to survive complete submersion in magma for an extended period of time, even while under extreme pressure from tectonic plates. The Japanese educational TV show Adventure, Godzilland, designed as a trivia show about Godzilla, featured live-action segments mixed with chibi-styled animation, and also featured musical songs, including one that doubles as an aerobic exercise. In the TV show The Simpsons, Godzilla makes multiple appearances. He first appears in the episode Brother from the Same Planet, where Kent Brockman refers to Homer as a giant lizard creature on the news. It then shows a picture of a Godzilla-style monster behind him. In the episode 30 Minutes Over Tokyo, when the Simpsons leave Tokyo, Godzilla attacks their plane alongside Rodan, Mothra, and Gamera. Here, Godzilla was for the first time accurately depicted as being charcoal gray or black, whereas previous and later episodes inaccurately depicted him as being green. In the 1993 Japanese movie Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla II, which is not a sequel to the 1974 movie Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, the United Nations revives the famous monster Mechagodzilla, who's created from the remnants of Mecha King Ghidorah, to combat Godzilla. In the movie, Godzilla Jr. also appears as baby Godzilla, an infant Godzillasaurus found in Rowden's nest, who was adopted by Godzilla at the movie's end. In the movie, Godzilla demonstrated another ability that may have been a variant of his nuclear pulse. After being struck with Mechagodzilla's shock anchor harpoons, Godzilla discharged a form of energy up the cables, severely damaging the robot's internal mechanisms. Godzilla is revealed to have a second brain in his spine, with Super Mechagodzilla being able to paralyze him from the waist down by destroying it. Nevertheless, his secondary brain was restored when he demonstrated the ability to give off huge amounts of radiation and heat after absorbing Fire Rodan's energy. This heat proved to be so intense that it caused Super Mechagodzilla's synthetic diamond armor to literally melt, allowing the mech to be easily destroyed by Godzilla's spiral heat ray. In the 1994 Japanese movie Godzilla vs. SpaceGodzilla, which is Godzilla's 40th anniversary movie, Godzilla is threatened by two new forces: Mobile Operations G-Force Universal Expert Robot, built by the JSDF to replace Mechagodzilla, and SpaceGodzilla, who was a beast spawned from Godzilla's particles in space. When baby, growing from exposure to Godzilla's radiation and becoming known as Little Godzilla, was abducted by SpaceGodzilla, that forced Godzilla to join forces with the Mecha Mothra to rescue him. In the movie, Godzilla shows signs of intelligence again when, during the final battle, he was the first to figure out that SpaceGodzilla was drawing energy from the Fukuoka Tower. And with the help of Land Mothra, Godzilla demolishes the tower and saps SpaceGodzilla's energy. The TV show, Adventure, Godzilland, was followed by Get Going, Godzilland, aimed at teaching how to read the hiragana alphabet, how to count, and how to perform addition and subtraction. This show focuses on a young Godzilla and his friends living together on Monster Island as they learn about various subjects. They live with Mothra, the only adult in the show, who acts as a maternal figure to the other monsters while raising her two twin larvae. Godzilla frequently gets into arguments with his best friend Anxieties, which often drive the plot of the episodes. Mechagodzilla is not part of Godzilla's group of friends and is portrayed as being very lonely and desperate to make friends. Because of this, Mechagodzilla tries to kidnap Godzilla's friends and force them to be his new friends, forcing Godzilla and the others to save them. In the 1995 Japanese movie Godzilla vs. Destoroyah, the plot details the rise of Destoroyah, an oxygen destroyer-born adversary who faces a dying Godzilla, the latter of which is afflicted with nuclear instability, which threatens the Earth. During the lead-up to Godzilla's meltdown, he frequently emits more powerful orange nuclear pulses. While these pulses were ineffective against the armor plating of the Super X-3, they were capable of briefly stunning Destoroyah several occasions. After Godzilla gained access to the infinite heat ray, these nuclear pulses became even stronger, taking on a flame-like appearance and erupting out of his melting dorsal spines in the form of concentric circles that caused the ground to burst into flame. Also, in this movie, Godzilla attempts to revive Godzilla Jr., killed by Destoroyah, by breathing energy into him. This managed to briefly stir him to life, but only temporarily. When Godzilla melts down, he imparts his energy into Jr.'s lifeless body, reviving him and mutating him into a fully grown Godzilla. In the TV show, spin-off of the Godzilla franchise Godzilla Island, set in 2097, most of Earth's monsters live on an island out in the Pacific Ocean called Godzilla Island, which is monitored by Gigan. Godzilla, along with the others, protects the island from evil monsters such as King Ghidorah and Mechagodzilla. In the 1998 American monster movie Godzilla, Godzilla appears with vocal effects by Frank Welker. Godzilla's plot follows the mutation of a marine iguana who, following a nuclear test in French Polynesia, is exposed to the fallout of radiation. And after this, Godzilla originated, who goes to New York City to nest its young. The 1998 Godzilla movie spawned an American-Japanese animated TV show that continued the storyline of the movie. In this show, Godzilla is a giant, mutated iguana and the only surviving offspring of the first Godzilla that attacked New York City. Due to Nick's accidental presence at his hatching, Godzilla has imprinted on Nick as his parent, and as a result, he is very protective of him. Nick also has the ability to control Godzilla to a certain extent, which allows humans to use him as a weapon against other giant and mutated monsters. He always seems able to sense whenever Nick is in trouble and is quite willing to follow him and the rest of Heat all over the world. But unlike his biological parent, he seems incapable of asexual reproduction, but is capable of using his signature atomic breath, which is green as opposed to blue. In the 1999 Japanese movie, Godzilla 2000, Millennium, Tsutomu Kitagawa plays Godzilla. The movie acts as a reboot in the same vein as 1984's The Return of Godzilla, and the plot follows an organization called the Godzilla Prediction Network that follows Godzilla, the latter of which is feeding on humanity's energy sources while confronting both human resistance and a new monster in the form of Orga. This movie featured a new, revamped version of Godzilla with a more feral design and huge, jagged purple dorsal plates. Also, this is the first Godzilla movie where Godzilla is actually colored green and Godzilla's atomic breath is colored hot orange, whereas it was previously blazing blue. In the 2000 Japanese movie Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, Japan creates an artificial black hole device to trap Godzilla forever, but a test of the device creates new foes for Godzilla, car-sized dragonflies called Megalon and their queen, Megaguirus. In the movie, Godzilla has shown the ability to use his dorsal fins as a weapon when he uses their jagged tips to slice off Megaguirus' claw. In the 2001 Japanese movie, Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, giant monsters all out attack, which serves as a direct sequel to the original 1954 movie. Mizuho Yoshida plays Godzilla. The movie centers around Godzilla, who is revived after his death in 1954, and then goes on to fight Baragon, Mothra, and King Ghidorah to defend Japan from their assault. In this movie, Godzilla's atomic breath returns to its original blazing blue color, having been colored hot orange, similar to the spiral ray in the previous two movies. In the 2002 Japanese movie Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, Chiyosunomu Kitagawa again portrays Godzilla. The movie introduced a third distinct iteration of Mechagodzilla, dubbed Kiryu, which was built around the skeleton of the original Godzilla from 1954 and used to fight the current Godzilla. However, DNA in the bones caused Kiryu to remember that it was once Godzilla, and it went on a rampage. Once the JSDF was able to get Kiryu under control, it forced Godzilla to retreat. In the 2003 Japanese movie Godzilla Tokyo S.O.S, the plot continues where Godzilla against Mechagodzilla left off with Mothra entering the fray in an attempt to stop humanity's use of Mechagodzilla, which is said to be morally wrong, and also bringing the newer Godzilla back, over and over again. In the 2004 movie, Godzilla Final Wars, dedicated to Godzilla's 50th anniversary of the franchise, Godzilla travels around the world to fight his old foes with his allies, plus a new, mysterious monster named Monster X. Godzilla is shown to possess incredible range, amazing power, and pinpoint accuracy, being able to hit and destroy a target in outer space and kill or disable most monsters with a single shot. He has also demonstrated his ability to actually change the intensity of his atomic breath at will during the battle against Kaiser Ghidorah. With a quick turn, Godzilla's breath goes from the iconic blue beam to the red burning G-spark heat ray, which literally causes the monster Kaiser Ghidorah to explode in the upper atmosphere. In the comedy TV show Robot Chicken, Godzilla first appears in the episode Operation Rich in Spirit of Season 1, where he destroys the house. In the other episode, Squawberry Shortcake, he takes Godzilla Jr. out for a training day. In the 2007 Japanese drama movie Always, Sunset on 3rd Street 2, a CGI Godzilla makes a cameo appearance as a character in one of Ryunosuke Chagawa's stories. In an imaginary sequence, Godzilla attacked 1959 Tokyo, even blasting Tokyo Tower in two with his atomic breath, and wiping out Norifumi Suzuki's car dealership, much to Suzuki's anger. Suzuki challenged Godzilla for destroying his business, and Godzilla roared back. In the 2014 American monster movie Godzilla, TJ Storm plays a 355-foot Godzilla mocap performance, who is entirely computer-generated. The movie serves as a reboot of the franchise, detailing a world where Godzilla rises in the present day to fight its two parasitic monsters, the female and the male, known as Muto's massive unidentified terrestrial organisms, following their awakening. This is the first movie since Terror of Mechagodzilla where Godzilla does not intentionally cause destruction and doesn't blatantly attack. As opposed to any form of morality, it appears that he just thinks people to be little and insignificant, does not care about their general well-being, and does not deem them worth killing even when they fire at him endlessly without causing him any harm. Also, Godzilla's behavior is that of a territorial animal. Ishiro Serizawa theorized that Godzilla is the driving force to restore balance to nature whenever that balance is disrupted, suggesting that he essentially considers the entire Earth to be his territory. Godzilla's face is more square. His neck is wide, and this is the character's first appearance with gills. His eyes are tiny and golden yellow, and his teeth are equally little and not as straight as earlier Godzillas. In the 2016 Japanese movie Shin Godzilla, the plot serves as a relaunch of the franchise, detailing Godzilla's origins, who is some kind of prehistoric sea creature, and his first appearance in Japan, as well as depicting the human response to the tragedy. This movie drew inspiration from the 2011 Fukushima nuclear disaster and the Tohoku earthquake with its consequent tsunami. In the movie, Godzilla appears to possess a variation of the nuclear pulse when he shows that he can fire countless beams of atomic energy from and between the dorsal fins on his back, allowing him to strike down targets approaching him from behind. Also, Godzilla's atomic breath starts out as a thick black smoke that comes from his mouth and spreads around the surrounding area. The smoke coming from Godzilla's mouth eventually ignites into a stream of flame. In the 2017 first Japanese computer animated movie Godzilla, Planet of the Monsters, the plot follows a desperate group of human refugees who attempt to recolonize Earth 20,000 years after the planet was taken over by Godzilla, who quickly establishes himself as the most powerful and dangerous monster to date. He devastated human civilization as he proved completely immune to even the most advanced weaponry. Godzilla's new design includes masses of muscle fibers and unique body tissue to support his enormous bulk. As a result, he looks like a fearsome deity. The 2018 second Japanese computer animated movie Godzilla, City on the Edge of Battle, which is a sequel to the 2017 movie, continues the story of humans fighting to reclaim the Earth from Godzilla, this time with the help of a weapon known as Mechagodzilla. The 2018 Japanese computer animated movie Godzilla, The Planet Eater, which concludes the narrative of the anime trilogy, follows the struggles of humanity, their extraterrestrial allies, and Godzilla as they battle to survive against the powerful destructive entity, King Ghidorah. In the 2019 American monster movie, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, eco-terrorists release Godzilla's ultimate nemesis, King Ghidorah, who awakens other monsters known as Titans across the world, forcing Godzilla and Mothra to unite and engage King Ghidorah and Rodan in a decisive battle. During his final battle in Boston with King Ghidorah, Godzilla absorbs Mothra's energy after her death to transform into burning Godzilla, giving him the power to kill King Ghidorah once and for all. In his burning form, Godzilla sports orange markings around his body, similar to Godzilla Earth's scarlet form, as well as orange eyes with a red texture. Additionally, Godzilla has now attained an even greater size, standing at 393 feet in height. In the 2021 American monster movie, Godzilla vs. Kong, two of the greatest icons in motion picture history, the fearsome Godzilla, whose design of the dorsal fins is the maple leaf, and the mighty Kong meet in a spectacular battle, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance. In this movie, Godzilla is shown to possess the capacity to become aggressive towards humans and Titans alike if he is provoked, something Madison Russell acknowledged as it was not his nature to wreak havoc upon human settlements without cause or reason. Also, Godzilla used his atomic breath to dig through the surface of the Earth in Hong Kong straight toward the hollow Earth in seemingly a matter of minutes. Godzilla is also seen to utilize his amphibiousness when attacking the fleet, escorting Kong to the hollow Earth and slicing through the ships with his dorsal fins. In the Japanese anime TV show Godzilla Singular Point, engineer Yoon Arakawa investigates happenings in a Western-style mansion, and Mai Kamino, a graduate student studying imaginary creatures, both hear the same song. Brought together by this mysterious song, they lead the fight against an unimaginable force that may spell doom for the world. Throughout the series, Godzilla takes several forms. Each of Godzilla's final three forms may launch a breath weapon. Godzilla Amphibia breathes a flammable vapor with a temperature of -4 degrees Fahrenheit, which, when lit, causes a tremendous explosion. Instead of a beam, Godzilla Terrestris' atomic breath appears as a big blue ring of nuclear energy in front of his lips. It was powerful enough to knock a gigantic black rodent from the sky and kill it instantly. Godzilla Ultima's highly focused atomic breath is a condensed blue-violet beam of ionized radiation that shattered a column of JSDF tanks and cut right through numerous buildings. Also, Godzilla's dorsal fins glow when firing his atomic breath, flickering from neck to tail rather than in the opposite direction, as with most other versions of the character. In the 2023 Japanese epic movie Godzilla Minus One, post-war Japan deals with the emergence of a giant monster baptized in the horrific power of the atomic bomb, Godzilla. In this movie, Godzilla's dorsal fins glow and stick out of his back one by one, starting from the tail and going up his back. He showed that he was able to destroy buildings with a swipe of his tail, crush entire crowds in one step, use his clawed hands to tear apart buildings, punch a hole in the cruiser Takayo, and effortlessly throw large trains and boats through the air across incredibly long distances. Also, Godzilla has enhanced cellular regeneration abilities. In the American monster TV show Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, set after the battle between Godzilla and the Titans that leveled San Francisco and revealed that monsters are real, it follows one family's journey to uncover its buried secrets and a legacy linking them to the Monarch organization. Godzilla appears with 3 designs. One based on the design from the 2014 movie during a flashback sequence at the Golden Gate Bridge incident, which is known as G-Day, alongside the Muto's attack. The second design is set in 1954 during the nuclear bomb testing at Bikini Atoll, in which he appears less bulky and with smaller variants of his dorsal spines. The third design, set in 2015, is identical to the 2014 design but possesses the 2019 dorsal plates. The plates are a smaller size to enforce them being new and growing after Muto Prime destroyed his previous plates. In the 2024 American epic movie, Godzilla and Kong, The New Empire, it follows the spectacular clash in Godzilla vs. Kong, where they face a massive unknown menace hiding within the globe, as humans unravel these titans' history, origins, and connection to Skull Island's mysteries. In this movie, Godzilla's dorsal plates are more transparent and magenta in hue, and his body seems thinner. His head now has smaller spikes along the shape of his skull frame. The end of his tail now contains Stegosaurus, like Thagomizers, and his atomic breath is magenta rather than blue.